I was born March 30th, 1918. I grew up on Staten Island. I was born in the city, but I grew up on Staten Island, and there were lots of paths in the woods, spots where I went to pick berries. There were many things to do on Staten Island. There were lots of people that would come to our street, Spring Street, on a weekend, because there was a house up on top of the hill that used to be a Protestant church, and these people from Italy bought it, and they would sell wine and any food that they would make, and they made a living out of that. So every weekend these people would come from the city and go up to this house. They would either play bocce or just dance. There was a dance hall there also with an accordion player, and drink wine. And then when it was time to go home, you would hear them. They'd all come down the hill, pass in front of our house, and sing Italian songs all the way down to the bus. Quando ero piccina, piccina, me papà mi portava a girare, mi diceva Marietta, ven grande, che ti voglio maridare. Whenever the bus would stop on Spring Street, the bus driver would yell, "Bootlegger's Alley." Everybody had a good time then, though. My father would make wine, but he never sold it. He would call the people in to come in and taste it. He made very good wine. But he didn't sell wine, so he was no bootlegger. I was growing up when the Great Depression happened. People were getting shoes free, and they were getting bottles of milk. But my family was always too proud, and we never got anything free. I would wear my shoes until they were really almost worn out, but we never went for a pair of shoes. And we never got a bottle of milk or anything free. But my father was a chef, and he was working then. Then one day, he got hurt. One of the great big jugs that he was carrying in the restaurant fell and cut his hand terribly. So he was home for quite a while he was trying to heal that hand. He was never able to use it for writing again, but he kept trying to learn how to write with his left hand, and he finally managed that. So he was able to go out and be a chef again. The Great Depression ended around 1933. I went to work. I got a job in a hat factory. There was one on Staten Island at the time, and it was called Edeline Hats. And I worked there for quite a while, and then they moved to the city. Edeline Hats stayed here, but one of the bosses opened up his place in the city, and I went with him. On 39th Street and 5th Avenue. But I had to bring my pay home all the time because I had to help my parents. So I was allowed to keep enough money for car fare and for a little lunch that I would have in Horn and Hardart at the time. Horn and Hardart was a lovely, lovely place where you could put a nickel or a dime into one of the slots and a sandwich would come out. Well, I really enjoyed eating there. I didn't need much money to spend I would get a quarter, so I would buy a sandwich and a cup of coffee. And they also have hot foods that once in a while I would buy a bowl of soup or something. But that's all it was. It didn't cost more than that. But times were still very bad because people would come in there and with a tea bag, and they'd get hot water, which was free, and they'd use their own tea bag in it. Then they'd stay there for a while because it was also nice and warm in the winter time in the Horn and Harder. I was 28 when I got married. I met my husband when I was 24. But then the war was on, and he was sent to Italy. And he was there until I was 27. Then he came home, and we got married. I got married, let me think of the name of the place. In the Murat Club on Staten Island. It's up near, just before you get to the college, to the high school.
Which high school?
Curtis High School. And it was a small wedding, just the two families, uncles and aunts, cousins. And after the wedding, my husband and I left for Canada. We went to Niagara Falls for our honeymoon. It was a lovely place. We really enjoyed it very much. He would set up for vacations. We went to Miami Beach a couple of times, which was beautiful then. The water was so clear that you could see your toes no matter how far in you went. It's no more like that. But we also went to South Jersey, to Wildwood Crest. It was a 3-hour ride away, but it was also a very nice vacation. So we went to different places. He always took me to different places. We went out to eat. We went to the city to go to movies, because his family lived in the city, and there were lots of movie houses in Germantown. So we would go there. He worked in the post office. So when he died, I was able to collect his insurance, which was higher than mine. And that's what I'm living on now. Then my husband got cancer of the lungs from smoking. And he died in 1982. I wouldn't change anything about my past, except that I would have liked it better if my husband hadn't died then, and we would still be together now. That would be great. But that's all. I wouldn't change anything. I had a happy life. We were happy together. I had a happy life. Lela bella jigujing, con tombola lila lela, lela bella jigujing, con tombola lila la. Ladis, ladis, ladis chi le malada per non mangiar polenta, bisogna aver pazienza, lasciarla marida.